off 4 straight wins to get back in the playoff hunt, Canada fell to earth with a loss to the Swedes. A rebound win for Amber Holland and company this morning improves Canada's record to 6-4. Her final draw won't be easy. Facing 2010 champ Andrea Schöpp, it is Canada, Germany next.
And on this Thursday, we say welcome back to Denmark, Esbjerg, and the Capital One World Women's Curling Championship presented by Ford of Canada. Last night, the Canadians dropped a 5-4 decision to Sweden, but bounced back this morning, winning 9-2 over Korea, while the USA is still alive, but barely, beating Czech Republic. Switzerland's win has eliminated Scotland. China and Russia are also part of the playoff mix. Top of the table, Sweden. 8-1. They are guaranteed first place. China, Denmark at 3 losses. Canada in a group at 4, and those at 5 need lots of help. As we say hello again, everybody. Linda Russ alongside. Here's the scenario for Canada: win and they're in either a playoff spot or at least a tiebreaker. Lose, you fall to 5 losses. That's very difficult.
It is, and they have an obstacle, and that's Germany. If you look at the stats, you say, well, what a great way to finish. You're playing Germany. They are not playing well. However, this is Andrea Schöpp, 18 worlds, and she loves to play Canada. It's a very defensive-minded team. I think Andrea will try and keep it close, so it's very clear what Canada has to do.
And they've been doing it, Linda, the last 4 out of the 5 anyways. The loss to Sweden was a good game. They're one of the best teams, but it's the hitting percentage and the draw percentage. 90% today in their morning game against Korea, and I like the finesse shots they're starting to play and starting to make a lot better, and that is the recipe to beat a defensive German team.
So that is the final round-robin game for the Canadians. It's against Andrea Schöpp in Germany when we come back.
The 2011 Capital One World Women's Curling is brought to you by Ford, official automotive partner of the Canadian Curling Association.
And on this final day of round-robin play, final game for Team Canada, let's meet the teams. Brought to you by Ford, official automotive partner of the Canadian Curling Association. The Canadians out of the Chrono Curling Club, skipped by Amber Holland with Heather Kalinchuk, Tammy Schneider, and Kim Schneider. The German champions are from the Reisersee Curling Club in Garmisch-Partenkirchen, skipped by Andrea Schöpp, but they do and have now mixed and matched with Stella Heiss, Karina Schultz, and Imogen Lehmann. The familiar face of Monica Wagner is on the bench for the Germans. Canada did win the draw to the button, so they have the last rock here in this opening end of play, playing the red stones. Centerline guard has gone up from the Germans, and this is the Canadian lead, Heather Kalinchuk.
It is a must-win for Canada if you talk about trying to control your own destiny. But it appears immediately, Russ, to us that they have scouted this German team, because we said Germany likes to hit. Well, the other thing is they like to play the out-turn. So if you're going to leave a corner of your rock open, you're going to leave it on the in-turn side and see if you can get to play what appears to be the weaker turn. That one, however, is wide open.
Yes, exactly. Virtually 2/3 of the German team shots for the entire week are out turns, and some low percentages on the in-turn side. So I think that's going to be the move throughout the entire game.
Stella Heiss is just 17 years of age. We saw her at the Olympics in Vancouver when Germany went 3-6.
You will notice that as Stella was sliding out, she might have come out a little crooked. Well, maybe halfway through the slide, far before the release, you're going to hear Andrea call the brushing. And I would find that a little disconcerting if I was throwing the rock, but that has been her style for a long time, and I'm sure her team are used to it.
The other thing you'll notice right off the bat is the difference in speed control. That was a bullet coming down there, albeit stayed in the rings, but this is a much softer weight to play that role.
We have to play a minimum of 6 ends, and there is the 1 coach's visit allowed.
A lot of panic on that brushing. It appears to be fine.
For Karina, the second, she's played alternate, she's played lead. We've seen her, as I say, Andrea Schöpp does mix and match her lineup sometimes.
Because Team Germany throws a lot more weight on those hits, it would be advisable for Canada to try to get it partially buried and force them to play the tougher shot. It's tough to hit and stay when you only see half a rock if you're throwing a lot of weight. And that hit and roll out, you see a lot from the German team.
So Amber opting to the, I guess, more open style of hitting the opposition guard. And it will appear that Germany will try and keep it wide open and remove this from play.
Indication was to keep it as a center line guard. It spills in and sits top 12 foot.
So a little bit of a cautious approach. The hard thing for Canada when you're sort of playing for your life, you'd rather control your destiny and of course stick at the four-loss point. Sometimes you become a little more cautious, and I guess that's the one thing they have to be careful about when you're playing someone like Andrea who likes that style. You don't want to lean into their favorite play either.
A great point. If you think you're the better team, and this week they are, if you look at the stats and the standings, the longer this goes for Germany close, the advantage for Germany. So you do have to make a move once in a while.
Interesting. I spoke to Eve Muirhead, who is here as an alternate coming off a 4th World Junior Championship, and of course lost to Andrea Schöpp in last year's World Final. The Scots have been eliminated from playoff contention now. They're 3-7. I said, so what happened? She said, well, to her mind, just what you were talking about. They waited for others to make mistakes rather than putting some pressure on and playing their game and forcing it and trying to react. They said they waited for everybody, and at this level, very few people made mistakes, and then we couldn't play up to their game.
The one difficulty with the young Scottish team, it's similar to Andrea in they prefer the hit game. And I think what happened to Anna Sloan, the skip for Scotland, is if you play hit, 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 and suddenly you have to draw, she did a couple of times to try and win games. She just didn't have the feel of how to make that key draw. So that is something as a young player she will adapt and learn. And it's something that Canada has found as far as their approach, it's been more balanced. And although they've missed draws, everybody here has missed draws, I think, as you mentioned, the draws have improved because they have had that balanced attack.
Yeah, and that makes all the difference when you're playing, as Vic said, at a different level. The hitting machines with bad draw weight works for only so long, but at this level there is no chance.
So Image and Lehman unable to hold the shooter.
Talking to the ice makers before the game, they said it's a little warmer outside, as we did appreciate this morning. It was nice sunny, the wind's cool here, but they did say the warmer building will make the ice a little bit faster, more like what was experienced, for example, last night. The building warms during the day, so your coldest ice and probably the slowest ice is in the morning, and then the warmth will change it. So they expect this draw to be nice and consistent, of course, more often where the ice has been played.
Other games on the ice, and this is a big one. China, final round robin game against Denmark. Should the Chinese win it, they would take second place and play in that 1-2 game against Sweden. As mentioned, Scotland, Norway, they've both been eliminated. And Czech Republic playing Sweden and Annette Norberg, who are the leaders, top of the table at 8-1. Andrea Schöpp, in her 18th appearance at the Worlds, she is the defending world champion, won it a year ago in Swift Current.
Her resume is so long you had to flip the pages. 18 Worlds, 24 Europeans, and of course 3 Olympics. She did win in 1992 at the Olympics when it was a demonstration sport in France.
It is funny, they hand out a media guide and then they hand one for Andrea.
Just for Andrea.
Just a separate pamphlet. But I tell you what, if you want competitiveness, there are few more competitive than Andrea Schöpp.
Competitive and athletic. We were watching her pregame warm-up. She's a tremendous athlete. We know the stories about her bicycling often bringing bikes or renting them in a country she travels to.
Oh, we saw her Swift Current ride back and forth, of course, to the arena, and she's doing that here as well.
Vancouver, the Olympics did the same thing, and it's nice to see. That's how the sport's changed. A lot of athletes out here now.
Wide open first end. Amber Holland hitting the rock at the edge of the 8-foot.
You know, say what you will about Andrea Schöpp, and I know there'll be some critics out there, but I don't think if it wasn't for her, Linda Russ, the game of curling may have disappeared long ago.
Yeah, there, because she hasn't the yellow rock.
Germany struggles so to get players involved. They have Eisstock, and that's very common in the south of Germany, but they cannot get people to curl, and it's such a shame.
She was telling us, of course, at the Continental Cup, there is hope that the area of Garmisch and Partenkirchen will win an Olympic bid, and in doing that, 2018, she's unable to hold the shooter, that they'll get some facilities, that the game will get some notoriety. There was nothing, not one lick of news about her World Championship in Germany. So an opportunity here for the Canadians and skip Amber Holland to go to school a little bit on this throw through to blank the first.
Pick a spot you haven't played and make sure you watch it. Don't turn around. I know it's a meaningless shot, but this gives you feedback right down the center line. See if it tracks for a while. Looks like it's going to cross a bit. Put that in the memory bank for later.
So a blank on the board here in the first. Canada, a win. They're in. A loss, and they need help.
2011 Capital One World Women's Curling is brought to you by Sponge Towels, Paper Towels. Nothing absorbs like it. By Tim Hortons Premium Blend Coffee, always 20 minutes fresh. And by M&M Meat Shops, hundreds of meal ideas, one aisle.
Welcome back to the Grandly Hockey Arena here in Esbjerg, Denmark. It is the Capital One World Women's Curling Championship presented by Ford of Canada. The blank in the opening end means that the Canadians once again will have the last rock. They have the hammer playing the red stones here in the second. And this is the German lead. This is Stella Heiss.
Nice guard on the first throw by Stella. The Canadians did draw around it with the in turn, but Germany sticking to the out turn, trying to play the freeze. We're hearing a lot of woeing, trying to get it to stop in front. It will not.
Ich meine, der bremst mir, aber ich hab ihn so ein bisschen, weil sie ist ja schon rausgekommen.
So the center line guard went up or just off center, and then Heather Kalinchuk wrapped a beauty around to sit shot stone. Kalinchuk in her second.
Back 8.
Splitting the house, the Yellowstone is almost full 8, so they can't go too wide unless they hope later to figure out a way to make it count.
Yeah, keep coming. Yep, keep coming. Yep. Wow. Curled a lot.
Final day of round-robin play, and the Canadians opened against China and an 8-6 win last Saturday, and then they dropped 3 straight, and there was a little bit of panic, but they've bounced back very nicely. Wins over Norway, Czech Republic, and the U.S. Then they lost to Switzerland, or they beat the Swiss rather. Lost to Sweden last night to get into this 4-loss scenario. Meaning today in their final round-robin game, if they win, they are guaranteed at least a playoff spot or at least a tiebreaker to get into the playoffs. A 5th loss, and they would need lots of help. For the German Germans, well, it hasn't been the best week for Andrea Schöpp. Did open with a couple of wins, and we thought, whoa, here's this world champion right back at it. But then she dropped 3 in a row. 1-1 has dropped 2, 1-1. So that's how she has come now to sit at 4-5 and on her final day playing the Canadians and Korea.
You can see Canada, Linda's definitely utilized the scouting report. The German team percentages are fairly low, but mostly with the draws. The German lead going 6 feet deep on the first one, 10 feet light on the second one for the second stone. So they're missed 2 draws already. And when Canada gets the opportunity, they're going to go around on the intern side.
Well, that was an opportunity to get around that yellow one and cap off its use, and that one will also come short. Right now, Canada's sitting 1, just off the button. There's still lots of room to come in.
A lot of ice for this shot, because once you throw the extra weight to tap the 40 pounds, it takes a lot longer to finish.
Yeah, I don't know why she took that ice.
Yeah, it was
I feel
like
sorry for
draws.
the thrower, because she asked her for that kind of weight to raise up the stone.
That's virtually the right weight, isn't it?
Well, the leaders by 2 games in the loss column, Sweden, and the 2-time gold medalist Annette Norberg. We wondered what was going to happen after her team really blew up after the second gold medal in Vancouver. Well, she found a new team, and she's teamed now with Cecilia Osland, who was 4th a year ago at Swift Current, and they have been the team to beat here. 8-1 coming in and playing Anna Kobeshkova of Prague. This young Czech Republic team was 2-1 to start, but have hit the skids. Sweden opens with a couple.
Great brushing by Canada to take that as far as possible. Hard to tell who is second shot, but it's positioned well, top 8.
You might see Germany play this double, and it's lined up kind of that way, which could just barely miss. So they can either tap it in or throw a bullet and try to redirect it, but have a little bit of drag. But there's such separation. When they're separated by 3 or 4 inches like they are, there won't be as much drag, or virtually 0 drag. So I think the only play is to tap red onto yellow into the forefoot.
Playing with the out turn, trying to come over and cross center line. That caught something.
And Schöpp is just calling off the front end. It's a little noisier building today, the Cranley Hockey Arena. This is certainly our best crowd of the for afternoon draws. And I'm not sure. From overhead, from this angle, it appears that the Yellowstone back 8 would be the second shot.
Even if you put.
That was a bad break for Germany, the fact that it picked.
I like that.
It looked like it actually might stop in a pretty good spot for them, but kept going, and now Amber's going to try and roll off of it.
9.5.
Smart move by Amber. Even though this rock is 5th in the circles, it's a dangerous rock, a rock Germany can use to get at those buried Canadian rocks.
Murph Fonger, longtime coach of this Amber Holland side out of Moose Jaw. It was a whole new approach to the game for them this year, involving science and nutrition, and it paid off with a Canadian championship. That's one way of getting it. As she removes the stone, actually bumps up the Canadian rock top 8, but now in doing so has she lined them up.
That's just it, Vic. It wasn't lined up before. It's awfully close now. It's going to go somewhere in this area. If they hit it dead on, there's a very good chance it could tap this one. Depending on where it goes, this is possible. Get a wee bit of drag. I think the double's there. If they go straight red yellow, I think it jams on the back red. It's very close. Have to throw a lot of weight here.
Well, Monica Wagner is the sole player on the German bench. They're a coach. This longtime Andrea's brother Rainer Schöpp has gone home. Their mother is elderly and needs some care, and so he's left the team.
That one didn't curl enough, but it did punch the yellow one in and open up the red stones.
Sneaky miss, wasn't it? They hit that dead on. At least one red was gone. Missed him completely by hitting half a rock. That changed the angle on the top too. But as Linda mentioned, it's in behind the guard.
I think an 80 for you for back four, yeah.
Pretty simple tap for two, but unfortunately all the Canadian rocks are grouped together and there'll be multiple options for doubles.
We're just even. Hard, gotta go. Hard line. Hard. Yep, stay on it. Yep, stay on it.
It's just draw weight.
Okay. Just a little bit.
Denmark has the hammer against China, and they blanked the first. Remember now, China, if they should win that, Bing Yu Wang will claim second place. And Norway and Scotland playing out the string. And Norway, Lynn Gittmark of Oslo, has the early lead there.
It's another one of those misses where it didn't work out the way they wanted, and as Russ said, the grouping isn't good, except there's a little bit of an overlap in those rocks.
Another sneaky miss, isn't it? Because if Andrea has to come down to make that double, she has to get awfully close to this top red rock. If she wrecks on the red one, it will definitely come down here, hit, and go right into that yellow one, and it could be a possible draw for four early in the end. I think to make the double, you have to really shave that red one.
Rob said, he goes, I think it's starting to kind of be a bit more dish, so we just have to watch it going inside out there.
Andrea Schöpp, a bit more dished means what, Russ?
There's a more curl from the outside to the middle than there is from the middle to the outside. It's like a dish if you cut it in half. So there's less curl right here.
And going from the inside out, they're going to have to be careful and may not curl much at all.
And that's actually what happened to Kim's first hit and roll, didn't it? She almost lashed it, so we'll have to keep an eye on that.
And then doesn't it make putting the guards in the right spot more critical?
Very critical and a little tougher, especially if you try and do it with the curling turn from the outside in.
I don't really like the top. What? Yeah.
But then how do I get two?
Well, you just have to be fully
The other option is just to tap.
quarter around. Yeah. I don't tap it good though. She still has the double to be sitting there in green.
Yeah.
If you tap, you need one to get more to the inside.
Yeah.
And tap this
Tap that
way. And shoot three gives you free. And then you have a, hopefully a drop or two. What do you guys like? Like quarter around the top red? Yeah.
Pretty tough.
Okay.
That's it.
Even if we tap, I still blast both if you
Well,
corner
that's
it.
why I like the tap.
Yeah.
It would seem to me the Canadians are in a pretty good position here. You've got the hammer. It's 2 stones to their 1. The greedy part of me says I'd love to get 3, but all important to get the deuce, right?
Yeah, no question. And how do you do it? The problem with it is the scoring area is so small here now. So
Back 4 play, try to get it a little to the inside and tap.
what Amber's worrying about is when you play to come around here, you have to tuck an inch or so, or there is going to be that same double.
Like she's gonna have an easy double if I don't get the curve right. This gives us a bit.
So the other option she talked about was the guard, just concerned that at the conclusion of the end, a draw for 2 might be a little tougher. But this one you do have to be careful because you're playing in Andrea's strengths unless you get a corner tucked.
Well, they mentioned about the dishing. This would be out on the high spot of the dish, out wide, where it's in theory a little bit higher. This should curl quite a bit.
Line's not bad. Stay close. Yep. We gotta go. Hard.
There goes the curl.
Now it starts to dive at the Canadian stone, just top of the 8-foot center line. That's the goal here. Get it by, girls. Come on. Oh, and they just did to the inside, and then the flip to sit top of the button center line. And the Canadians are sitting too.
That came down a lot. God, I threw there just so. Wow.
Well, she's a little surprised about the change in the speed, but as the curl happens, it is dragging the speed off of it, and you have to be very aware. If you're aware there's curl there, you have to be aware that the speed will come down. Andrea looking at the one that is wide open and also concerned about the one behind it.
Yeah, it's a dangerous situation here for Germany. Just play it out. If you hit it there, jam it on here, your shooter rolls out, then obviously there'd be 3 reds in play, the only 1 yellow, and the yellow raise is also an easy shot. You could play this red in there, take the yellow, and actually score 4, maybe even 5.
So here's the change. She went down to play the hit and is so concerned she's just going to play a draw.
I think that's smart, even though you hate to draw when there's 2 in there. You'd love to remove 1 of those, but it is dangerous.
Now, the other thing to keep in mind is it surprised Amber Holland how much it swooped across outside in. Can she expect the same thing?
She throws it a little differently. The one thing is Andrea does not have great draw weight and has not for the whole event. So it will still curl for her for sure. But she's just not had the feel.
Final stone for Germany. Canada does have last rock. She's strong against a couple. Andrea Schöpp. Stella Heiss on the left. Karina Schultz on the right. They've backed right off. Drawing against a couple, and she'll put it right in the crotch. Bump it back. Very nice by the defending world champion.
She almost didn't.
Canada sitting now just the 1.
That's a brilliant shot. That ended up just perfect.
I don't mind playing that one.
I like that, yeah.
I need to hit it there. I probably just got that. So you just want a paper kiss, right? Yeah. Be tight, but we could try it. Sure. Play it tight. Play it tight. If I take the top, it's not the end of the world, right? Sure. I think yeah.
I love this call. I think they have to hit it awfully tight to the guard to get put as much as that red in as you can, but it is there. Virtually hit it on the center line side, red onto the top of the yellow as we diagrammed it. It should redirect into that yellow German rock, and if they hit it just perfect, they could score as many as 3.
Final stone for Canada. Amber Holland out of Crono, Saskatchewan. Sitting 1 right now. Looking for a big 3 if they can. Kalinchuk, Tammy Schneider, pick her up, get it by the guard first. Oh, they did not. It took off on them. And they were late getting the brushes down. Canada will have to settle for a single Canada with the early lead. NHL on TSN continues tonight as the Canadiens travel to Boston to battle the Bruins, and live coverage begins on TSN at 7 Eastern Time. Montreal currently 6th in the East. As we welcome you back to the Capital One World Women's Curling Championship presented by Ford of Canada. Canadians had a great opportunity to possibly get 3, but they crashed on the guard, settling for just the single point. And so for the first time in the game, here in the third, it's Germany that has the last rock, playing the Yellowstones.
Well, the last in was the example of what we were talking about, how you have to throw out some of the stats, because Andrea Schöpp is 68% on in-turn draws, and yet she made a beauty. You couldn't really carry it down better. They just got it by the rock that was shot rock to do a little tap, and then tapped the rock far enough to be second shot. So she just, competitive juices are flowing, and she loves to play Canada, as we said. So very nice shot.
Seen that movie before.
Yes. Canada with the first one in. It's a little deep. Corner guard goes up by Germany for their out turn come around. And there's the center guard.
Well, we've told you how important this game is, both at 3 losses. Denmark, China, this is their last round robin game. And what a story the Danes have been. Lena Nielsen out of Vidovre, just outside of Copenhagen. She hogged her last rock on the opening night. Last Friday, the Prince of Denmark was here. She was so nervous, and people thought, oh my goodness, what kind of a week it's going to be. But here she is right in the mix of things, and she scores 2 against China.
What do you want?
To get that, probably a 90 or
95, yeah, 95.
Germany with a nice come around top button. They were wanting to brush it, but thought better of it. They didn't want to take it behind the button to the freeze position, so nicely positioned. And now Amber calling the freeze.
Not the spot Tammy wanted there, just didn't get the big hook off the hill.
Come on.
2 options with a hit. One is to roll in behind cover, and the other is to roll open. And it looks like she wants to go in on top of her own.
Karina Schultz. And the flip inside, right on the corner. And the Germans are sitting 2. They do have last rock here in the third.
Give me Peel.
Let's go, Tam. Let's go.
Tammy's made a lot of these run backs 2 or 3 in a row in the game yesterday, and this is a big one because if you can make it, the double will go. Looks good.
Run it back. And we'll split them around. The shot stone at the back. Look at them go. And now Canada's hitting 2.
Very nice. I think Tammy has the most rotation on the Canadian team. That helps read it. It's easier for Amber to call the sweeping. Just about over curl. Great shot.
She is 94% on the shot called promotion takeout over here. Very nicely done.
What a weapon for Canada. That was a wonderful turnaround so far in this end.
That one did come to the freeze position, and although it is shot stone, and there is room for Canada to get next to the button and play the freeze.
We gotta go. Okay, go then. Line's not bad. Can you let it work again? Yeah, we're 5. Line's great. Bit of room.
Played quite a few in this spot. They polished it up with the sweeping. It shouldn't be that slow. They thought it was light, but it looked like it's gliding quite nicely. That's the biggest difference I find on arena ice compared to club ice is that you polish it the same spot 2 or 3 times and it really picks the speed up as much as 3 or 4 feet in certain areas.
It is the one thing at this time of the year, I was going to say week. This has felt like a year maybe. No, that you have to be looking out because you're so intent on making shots. You so want to make the playoffs, win the game, all those sorts of things. But you have to remember your routines, and the routine of looking up is to continue to judge that speed as it's coming down. And you can't get into that head down brushing.
Imogen Lehman. Very nice to roll the shooter over on the other side. It does pop out behind the center guard. You know, it's an overused cliche, and being somebody that hates to hear it, you know, one game at a time, and that's all we're. But it's the truth. You don't want to look ahead. I mean, if the Canadians would have started hanging their head when they were 1-3, the week would have been over. But really, let's win this one. All right, next one, and the next one, not looking towards what they might face on this final day.
Yeah, and you're right, Vic. And the other part of it is you don't even look at winning games. You look at going out and giving your best performance because there's things out of your control, and winning is one of them. But you do go and play your best and keep to your routines and stick to the things that are your strengths.
Good brush to get it by the center guard, and they'll make the double. Very nice, Kim Schneider. So once again, we know that Sweden at 8-1 on the ice right now have guaranteed first place. China has an opportunity to take second if they beat the Danes. Canada is in that group at 4 losses. A win today in their final game with Germany would guarantee them at least a playoff spot, or at worst a tiebreaker. If they fall to 5, well, mathematically they're still there, but it would take an interesting combination of wins and losses to get them into a tiebreaker. So easiest to say win and you're in.
Well, that was interesting right there because Andrea was playing the come around and it was close to being perfect, but when it was going to be close to the back button, you needed to brush it if you were Germany and get it out of the position where Amber can make an angle freeze and be on the button.
Alrighty, right down to it. Tighten it up a little from Kim.
Well, I'll watch. How was our bet on Kim?
Alrighty.
Closer to
9. Okay.
Yeah, if you throw 4, we can probably get it there. Yeah.
13-9 Casito.
Yeah.
13-9, is that what I heard?
I thought I heard that. I actually thought it would be a little faster here.
It most definitely is faster than that.
Let it work a bit. Line's fine. Line's better than Kim.
We're gonna have to go.
Look up. We're 5-6. Yeah, line.
Little tighter line here. This could curl.
Hard line. 4. Hard line.
It's also a different path when you've moved the broom over. You have to expect that the speed will be different, and that will not make it.
Okay. Okay. Scott to the curl, hey?
Yeah.
That's an unfortunate time
just
for
got
a
to the
mistake
curl.
because it's bumped the guard over into a better spot for Germany and a free chance to not only sink another one but guard that rock that's behind the tee line, which was perfect for Canada.
Problem ist, dass wir eine Zone ab. Die halt extrem neu. Aber ich muss den Treffer.
Well, back again, we go to this all-important game between Denmark and China. You can see there was a blank in the first. Denmark, Lena Nielsen, picked up 2 in the second. Now this is Bing Yu Wang, the world champion of 2009, looking very impressive this week. Played a much different kind of year for them. And she hits and hangs around for 2 to tie it. Remember, she told us that they sort of took the team management and their schedule upon themselves.
Well, last year they had burnout. They just played too much. They were not given chances to go home and relax, and that is not part of coaching. You know that you have to do a taper and peak, a periodized plan. So it's definitely a better idea this year.
Well, this side hasn't been polished up, so there's a pretty good chance it's a shade slower.
It's also a tricky spot to get by that corner and not get the curl onto the center guard.
Here they go now. Out comes Lehman as well, trying to find the hole, drag it by, and they won't. They'll clunk that center guard.
For the most part of the week, that's been the story, is missed draws, and it's not really the ice. It's just that the speed changes depending on where the wear and tear is, and 6 or 7 shots down the outturn side was quick. That's the slow side, and just pulled the string a little bit for Andrea.
And I talk about it a lot, but as far as I'm concerned, you find the right way 2 ways. At the house end, you put the broom down and discuss with your vice skip, in this case for Andrea, what this path is like, and then you go down to the hack end and reinforce that by talking to the brushers. And I just don't see that happening, because the ice is predictable in every spot. It does change across the sheet, but you have to just manage the sheet.
Back 12, we'll just play the tap. Just stay a little on the high side, hey? Okay.
So once again, this is a little bit tricky for Amber because she's playing the raise. So she just figured out the ice for the draw. And now she's guessing a little bit as to where to put the room for the extra speed.
The danger for this too is if you raise it on a bit of an angle, you just make it easier for the draw for 2 for Germany. Could play the come around here and shrink the scoring area.
Back line. Yep. Whoa. Back line. No, needs curl.
Just completely different path as far as the curl goes with that speed.
It's just going to open it up, make it simpler.
Okay.
And so it will be a draw to the 8 foot for 2 for Germany.
Kann es sein, dass die Seite ein Tick schneller ist?
Ja, die Seite ist einiges schneller als links.
I was just wondering if, in fact,
Normal hätte gerade eigentlich schon reichen
what the speed might be out here.
A little faster on this side, they're saying. But a little bit further out than the other, so guessing a bit. Not quite as fast as the path earlier.
Great opportunity here for Germany and Andrea Schöpp to score a couple. She needs a bite of the white. Piece of the 8 foot.
We know the spots is really polished up, so the chances are this will glide hog line in.
Two it is for Germany, the defending women's world champion. Won't be involved in the playoffs, but she could hurt Canada's chances and takes the lead. We've all enjoyed our time here in Esbjerg, Denmark, on the west coast of the country, about 3 hours west of Copenhagen. As we go to the 4th and welcome you back to the Capital One World Women's Curling Championship presented by Ford of Canada. Germany gets 2. They now have a 2-1 lead. Canada once again has the last rock. They have the hammer playing the Redstones here in 4.
Gonna come out the other side.
There's definitely a big swoop on this in-turn side for the right-handed curler coming home. That's barely in the rings, and it's actually over curled a hair.
I think if that one had come deeper, Andrea might have played draws, but it is right at the top of the house, so she'll try the run back with Stella. She won't have played many of these, I can tell you that.
Even though it's in the free guard zone, you can hit your own rock.
Run it back and jammed it, but it bites.
It's a nice shot.
The future of German curling right there. Like 84% for the week at such a young age, and looks like she can hit too.
Line's a little tighter. You're okay.
You're fine, you're fine. What, actually,
6, 7.
more?
Okay. 7, 8. Oh, it's not there yet.
No.
Or 8, 9 then if we don't get to
No,
it.
then.
It's curling now. It's still deep. It's still deep now. Okay.
Heather's had a wonderful week, but it's we talked to Mark Sherrick, the head ice technician here, with that extra heat, as Melinda mentioned in the opening of the show. You're going to get 4, 5, 6 maybe feet extra speed. The ice being at the proper temperature because of the heat. And that one slides into the wrong position for Canada.
But this one, Karina Schultz came out with much too much speed. She got to the hog line. I think she was thinking pull back, but she had no room, no space left. She was at the hog line. And this one is heavy.
It rubs and rolls, but sits there at the back edge of the 4-foot. Germany with shot stone, but they do not have the last rock. It's the Canadian hammer here in fourth.
That was just a great example of the difference in the curl. When you're just a little bit heavy, it hangs, and when you have the perfect speed, it will swoop in behind cover.
Line's fine. Bit of room. Got room. No, it's not curling at all. Or to that. Not even to the yellow yet.
It'll warp here. The weight's pretty good.
Yep, a little. Yep. Okay.
Have to be careful with these that you don't off-angle the freeze. If you do off-angle it, you want to be a little on the inside corner.
Ein bisschen rauf. Gar nicht. Weit.
Die Länge passt, ist eher noch zu lang.
Just not throwing these to the brushers.
Corinna, darf eher zu kurz sein.
Ja, wollte ich ja.
Ja.
Ja, nein.
Big mistake there. It's the thrower could say, you know, I was only 2 feet heavy, but you're not. On ice like this with a crisp pebble, 2 good sweepers could maybe drag it another 5 feet. So the 5 plus the 2 you're heavy is really 7.
Line's a little tighter.
No, wait, you got more weight.
Where is it, T? 7. Okay,
Oh,
stay
it
close.
looks like tons.
Stay close, line.
Looks like tons. Whoa!
Line only.
No, no.
Okay.
Big rotation.
Yep.
There it goes, starting to curl.
You're gonna overcount it, I think. You need full 4. We're 4. That's good. Great shot. Nice shot.
To sit 2.
That does show how the rotation that Tammy throws does not detract from curl with these stones. You still get great curl. It's just that she threw the perfect weight, top 4 weight. Didn't have to wait so long for it to make its move.
It's a good point, Linda. With smooth stones that you see in a lot of the curling clubs, that would make a big difference, the difference in rotation. But these are so aggressive, they curl with virtually any rotation. More so with a slow rotation, but most curlers out here are throwing enough.
21-year-old Imogen Lehmann. She's a former Swiss junior champion, having competed in the juniors for Switzerland, now competing for Germany. And it's all over the long guard.
What do you like?
I don't mind double tapping our red.
Do we need to though?
Hmm?
Do we need to? No, we're shot 2
No,
right now.
what's up to?
I don't know if we can get there.
Very close.
think we can.
The perfect shot would be to lock another one in here, preferably slightly buried,
play the
but
double
it's
on if
so
she's
tough.
jamming
There's
all
so
day,
much
right?
curl here. Is there enough room to put an 11-inch rock through that opening?
Now, one way to do it would be to play it with a tap weight, which I think the other players talked about, comes through the hole with a bit of weight, but that's dangerous because we've seen the vast difference in curl when you change the speed.
I'm not sure I like the guard.
Plus, you kind of like that yellow one back there for backing.
Yeah, because then she just comes in this way.
Yeah. And you can get here definitely.
She just blasts.
Like I guess we could try it with a bit of weight, so even if you tap it, might be easier to call, but where Tammy's just went.
What if we go this way?
From down here. Go here?
She, like, the double's jamming all day, right? So it's not gonna. Yeah, I
You
don't
can
mind.
just edge to edge, hey?
Well, even if you're here, like, that'd be the error, hey?
Yeah.
I think so. This, yeah, now that I'm down here, it looks.
Yeah. No, it might look bigger down there, but
It looks like it's there from the other end.
it's not.
Okay, let's go this way then.
Hey, you like that, Kim?
Not unless I throw a little more weight.
Then you mess up the angles and leave her.
It's not worth it.
No.
I like the call, Linda. You always want to, as a skiff, give yourself two options. Now you choke off both sides, in turn and out turn.
Now that I see
Coming
the way
down the
they're
in turn
sitting.
side, we knew the shot was tough through the yellow guards, and that would leave Germany a chance to draw to the button. So this takes that away, and even if this is not made perfectly, even if you're a little bit light, you can use it yourself later.
That's better. Here you go.
Go to the stick. Let's go.
I'm sure the coach approves. There's one, of course, theory that you're trying to leave that shot for the last one, and that's why I like the discussion of this smart side is a little light, because that still leaves you options as you move into amber shots.
Kim Schneider as we play third stones here in the fourth.
We can wait a bit. Line's well high. Yep, you gotta go.
Little slower spot. They got to keep this going. Haven't used this side.
And it's going to be a struggle to get it by the one top of the edge of the 12.
That's fine, Kim.
All right, that great line.
Just not quite thinking out the, and it's easier from up here. There's a lot less distractions for us than there is for the players. But if you watch this game so far, everything on the right-hand side as we're looking at the sheet now with the overhead is quick, both ways down the far end and this way, and the other side slow.
You've won a lot more Canadian championships sitting up here this year.
And a much higher percentage.
Andrea's going to try and come through that hole with that extra tap weight. You won't have many chances at it. This may be it.
And this isn't a gimme either. You throw that extra weight, it gets inside the hill. It might not curl.
Well,
And
with that release.
they picked it up very early. Heiss and Schultz on Lehman's stone trying to come through, and no, it won't even have a chance.
He's trying to split the second one in and won't get by the first to do it.
Czech Republic and Sweden, and Czech Republic is sitting 1-2-3 against Annette Norberg. Guaranteed first place with an 8-1 record coming in. There's the hit. Oh, and not enough, and so it's a steal of one for Czech Republic. And you're thinking to yourself, maybe the edge just could be off a little bit. Focus let down for Sweden and Annette Norberg. Kim Schneider.
Clean for line. Just clean for line.
Whoa, it's getting over curl.
Trying to fill the hole and not give Germany another chance at that tap.
Yes for line. Yes for line. Hard over. Whoa. That's good. Good job, you guys. I guess. Yeah. Hate doing that. I hate throwing guards when you got none.
Die wird sicher an dem Point. Ja. Nur Der darf nur vorne 12, dass ich ihn schieben kann danach. Weil alles, was ich drüben mache, mache ich ihr nur auf, das hilft mir nichts. Ja. Bitte mehr!
She's been to 4 Olympic Games, Andrea Schöpp. She was 3 and 6 in Vancouver.
See a little extra weight here, knowing it will slow down. There it goes.
She's playing for top 12 as a setup shot and a blocker combined, and this one is going to overcurl her thought.
Lined it up pretty nicely for Canada, too.
I can get to here. Yeah. So I need about back 12.
Now, if you can't wrap it around, is that yellow-red combination there to bump it up?
It certainly is, Vic. The only danger, I think it's a pretty simple shot, to be honest. If you get the weight right, you can be a little heavy because you got miles of backing there. But the danger is leaving that yellow one exposed, so Andrew can do the same thing.
Slow down a little bit? Yeah, it's a little faster on this side. Okay, because this is where I threw my draw, basically. Yeah. Okay, yeah, it's just a little bit heavier.
Fantastic opportunity here. Sit 3 buried with hammer, and I think the yellow might be under the cover of that center guard and be tough for Germany to use it.
Amber Holland and the first skip stone for the Canadians here in the 4th.
Looks light, if anything. The line's perfect.
Well, here comes the bump. Here comes the bump. Oh, did they get it far enough? It sure looks like they did, and Canada is sitting 3.
It was good communication because they waited for the line, and it looked like it might slow down, but just right.
They were saying that they're gonna have to go back when you're not to the rocket.
Beautiful shot.
Den kriege ich da kaum durch, weil mir der rote dann Weg liegt. Weißt du, was ich meine?
There's a couple of raises out there for her, but nothing looks that pretty.
Jedes Mal, wenn du vorne was machst, ist die Gefahr, dass sie ja aufmacht.
Ja, wobei jetzt nicht mehr so arg. Ja, nee, dann ist auch wurscht. Also.
I don't think it looks any prettier for Andrea Schöpp, despite the angle she looks at it.
Might be room on that one.
Yep.
There's definitely room here, but the problem with the double raise is it's tough to get your yellow one in close enough. You might move one rock out of there. I think the easiest shot, or maybe the best result for Germany, would be to come down there off that one. I know it's tougher. Hit it right there. Both reds go behind the tee line, and you might actually sit shot rock.
Now, I'm surprised. I'm not sure she actually looked at that side. She seemed to be stuck on this side of the ice, and that's the one she is staying with.
It's the only way your shooter hangs around. If you hit it dead perfect, you'd certainly be second shot. This one, you might move the reds around, but where are they going, Linda? They're like two of the reds are stay there forever because of the back yellows. The most she can possibly remove here is one rock, I believe.
Final stone for Germany in a pile of trouble as we play the 4th. Angle it back and angle it by, and now the Canadians, can they get a 4th point in there?
Certainly can. Vic's exact same shot. Hit 3/4 of the red. It's very difficult, but the angle's there. We're right behind it. You can tap that's into the forefoot.
Past the yellow. Okay, you have to hair the yellow.
So for the second end in a row, or
need to give you
when they had
a bit more
hammer,
weight, right?
Canada has put a ton of rocks in play, have made Germany play those finesse shots. The other time it didn't work out for the bundle, but this time it certainly has.
So sitting 3. Canada with a chance to blow it open here in the 4th.
If you can. Whoa, guys. Whoa,
Amber Holland has given it over now to Heather Kalinchuk and Tammy Schneider. And Kim Schneider calling line, waiting for it to break. Now trying to catch the right angle, avoid the rub on the stone. Take it back, girls, take it back, and not enough. Kim Schneider has a look, so does Lehman. Another peek over top. They know it's 2 for sure. It's the stones around the
You
edge.
should tell me to take less ice.
It's gone up on the board, but we'll wait and see.
Well, that was even a hair less weight.
And they're going to measure it, but certainly from overhead, it looks like Canada has scored 3.
That's fine. Over bringing on those ones.
I guess.
I wouldn't have taken like we didn't eat very much.
I mean, you guys aren't backing me up here, are you? Are you
I
just-
said I thought it was 3.
Oh,
Vic.
okay. All right.
I'm out on that limb with you.
For once, you're right, Vic.
Thanks, Russ. Thank you.
I'm amazed at the difference in top. That they have less.
You like the way they played the end?
Well,
Yeah.
I do. We have less, but I'm surprised that we have.
Yes, you have to push Germany to make those key shots, and they just did not. Actually, the best chance was maybe even with Andrea's third. Imogen, when she went to play a shot through the hole, a little tap, something near the front of the forefoot would have left them an opportunity,
yeah.
at least on Andrea's. And by the time Andrea came up, they were tough.
The German misses are exactly what the scouting report said at the top of the show. Heavy on a couple draws. That shot through the hole was supposed to be a tap. It was almost a draw. Definitely narrow in turn side again. And that's the that seems to be what the weakness is so far this week for Germany.
We laugh a little bit here because, for whatever reason, the measuring stick is always at the farthest point away from the measures. So we sit and wait, and so finally it's arrived. And they'll start off with the Canadian stone. Not cooperating to let us see, and now over, and we'll have a look here. We'll wait for the umpire's decision, and we don't even need it. There it is. Thank you very much, sir. As he points at the Canadian rock, and it's a 3-spot for Canada. Here in the 4th, a win, and they are in to the playoffs. Like many European cities, getting around on a bike is sometimes the fastest way and certainly the more economical way. As we welcome you back to Esbjerg and the Capital One World Women's Curling Championship presented by Ford of Canada. 4-2 now, the Canadians after that 3 in the 4th, and it is the Germans and Andrea Schöpp that has the last rock playing the Yellowstones here in the 5th.
So now it's kind of a nice position for Canada. They've taken risks. Second end, as I mentioned, they had a very difficult shot, but still a chance for 3. And then last end got their 3, so they don't have to push too many buttons now. They can wait for opportunities, make sure they keep some pressure on Germany, but Amber can really push and pull a little bit when it comes to offense and defense.
Well, this is the other key game on the ice. Should China win this game, they take first place, but at the break it's a 3-2 Danish lead, and Lena Nielsen, if she wins this one and then wins out tonight against Russia, she would take second place. Scotland, Norway, and then of course Czech Republic, Sweden. And Sweden has just scored 1 in 5 to even things up.
Good call by Andrea. She put up the corner guard. Here's the out turn come around.
Four perfect shots, really nice tight guard for Heather right on the center line. You don't want a long guard when you're 2-point lead. And two beauties from the young Stella Heiss. She makes a lot of shots, Linda.
She was so impressive last year in Swift Current at the Worlds. I think many people thought she would crack under pressure when you got to the playoffs, and she did not. So she really is an up-and-comer for Germany. Got something, but left the guard out in front. Yes, it's red, but Andrea needs all the rocks she can have now to try and get her deuce.
Gotta really go to save this yellow rock. It has to stay in play.
And she'll push the guard by. Is this where, I'm asking this of a defending world champion, but is this where the style of play of Andrea Schöpp hurts her? Because we said to you earlier it was defensive Russ, and now she's got to try and come from behind.
This particular end, she hasn't been too defensive. That last shot, maybe she could have thrown a little different weight choice. But yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. At this level, yes, they're the world champions, but at this level, you can't. But the shot that scares me is a lot of times you'll see she'll be hitting against 3 or 4 when she could be drawing, and then maybe a different choice of shot selection would help her a lot. And the comer on tap back, the best teams in the world, Jeff Stoutons and the Martins and the teams like that, they throw like a hack weight, give it to the sweepers, and I don't see that very often. Once in a while, but not very often out of Team Germany. And when you're throwing big weight around a rock that's 3/4 buried, the odds of staying are slim, and then the next shot becomes even tougher.
But you're right, Vic, too. In this particular case, we mentioned Germany would like to keep it close. For them, 5th in break, close score within 1, that would be absolutely optimal. And now they're behind and having to go to a kind of play they don't want to. And actually, interestingly enough, in both of the ends where Canada was setting up, Germany did throw a guard on their first rock, a front stone, to try and get Canada into the play that actually cost Germany eventually. So although it looks like Andrea wants to be a little more aggressive, it is not going to work with the team that she has.
There's the soft weight I talked about. Just heavy hack, maybe board. Pretty hard to roll out with that weight.
We have to get off the side faster.
I think the other thing that is costly for Andrea in this case is the players that she has, in particular Karina and Imogen, is the kind of release. They have a very soft release outside in and on swingy ice like they find here at the World Championships. Especially this year, it's going to cost them.
Trying to roll buried.
Very nice.
Beautiful shot.
So Germany is sitting shot stone, and it is covered.
You like the run? 9.
Schneider.
Fine. Good.
And she'll peel the guard. Not quite either. Boy, from a shot where they were trying to play the run back, checking in on Denmark and China as they play in the 5th. We showed you the score earlier. This is how they got to it. They blanked the first. Denmark had the hammer. They got 2. China replied a blank in 4. And now this is the final stone for Lena Nielsen, as she is drawing against a couple and needs half a stone in the 8th. So the draw for the single and a 3-2 Danish lead as they go to their break. The German third is Imogen Lehmann.
A draw to sit to, playing to the open side. And this is the turn that she really gets going.
And it is going. My, there's a wide corner here, covering the edge of the 12-foot. And she won't be able to get it by, but able to spill it in.
Looks like maybe far enough, but now you can see why she is on her in-turn draws 61%. She just gets those started, and with this curl, it's hard to hold them.
A lot of the curling in Germany is on straighter conditions than you'd see here, and it's a bit of a bad habit. You can kind of get away with that. As a matter of fact, it might be a smart thing to do, is to start your in-turn to get more curl on straight ice to be able to bury. But here, it's the exact opposite. You have to be crisp. You have to get out to the broom. You have to have rotation. That curled nearly 7 feet.
I'm going to throw 9 here.
Amber's still having trouble with the timing of that sliding foot coming in, and you see the trailing leg go out, a little bit of a fishtail as we call it, and it's causing her some problems. She's not square when she releases.
Rolls the shooter over, sits shot stone. Second shot appears to be the yellow at the top edge of the 12.
Just bumped her own red a little too far. Now a chance to sit 2.
Nase ab das Double geht was nicht.
Geht nicht.
Nee, ich denke, das geht nicht. Weil Rollen grundsätzlich auch nicht schlecht wäre. Nur zu weit nicht.
Oder rollen.
Andrea was having a look to see if she stuck it on the nose, what that would look like, what she would leave.
Andrea Schöpp and her first. Oh, and off the back of the Canadian stone and sitting 1. And it appears 2. It was that little double kiss that may have blocked the red stone. Back into play.
Give me the same weight.
There was no problem for Andrea to roll that way, but I'm not sure she thought it was going to roll quite that hard.
Yeah, lucky they had to catch her. That was out of the rings, I think. Two choices here. Amber could try to roll right across behind the shot rock, German yellow rock, or you could actually roll just partly in the rings, shot rock, and then Germany would have to roll.
Amber Holland sits right there on the nose.
That's what I talked about. It's now shot rock. Germany hits it dead on. They only score the single, so they're going to have to make the roll.
But can you make a little double here to get 2?
You just need to roll in a little bit, Vic.
Okay, all right.
Ja, der geht schon vorbei.
Ja,
Geht der
ja.
schon vorbei.
Aber rollen muss ich halt.
Ja.
I'm just thinking that it may jam off the Canadian stone and squirt in as well.
Yeah, if you hit the red really thin, hit the second red, it would hit the yellow and actually make the Canadian rock better. So it's just a matter of hitting and rolling a foot or 2, maybe maximum to the center line. It's a great spot. Canada left that.
Well, in particular, we're seeing a fair amount of curl here, so now Amber maybe has Andrea second guessing where to put the broom to try and get that little roll rather than the nose hit.
And this is all speed. It's you know, which is the shot that's the toughest for the German team.
So final stone for Germany. Here in 5, Canada up by a couple. have to hold the line, look for the inside roll, and very nice. And now they'll take a look at those stones around the edge. Quickly kicked away. It's 2 for Germany. And through 5, Canada in a must-win to lock up a playoff spot. They're tied.
The 2011 Capital One World Women's Curling is brought to you by Ford, official automotive partner of the Canadian Curling Association.
At first glance, you might think that this is Esbjerg's welcome to the World Curling Championships, the 4 people that will make up a curling team, but it isn't. This is called Man Meets the Sea, and it's Esbjerg's welcome to the ships at sea, all the ships that come off the North Sea and enter the Esbjerg harbor. These figures are 9 meters tall, and you can see them from almost anywhere in Esbjerg.
And like Man Meets the Sea, there are some big games on the ice. Here on this final day of round-robin play, the Capital One World Women's Curling Championship, presented by Ford of Canada.
2011 Capital One World Women's Curling is brought to you by Tim Hortons Premium Blend Coffee. Always 20 minutes fresh. By M&M Meat Shops. Hundreds of meal ideas, one aisle. And by Purex Bathroom Tissue. It's softness they'll notice.
Let's check the numbers after 5. They're brought to you by Tim Hortons Premium Blend Coffee. Always 20 minutes fresh.
The Canadian number's a little lower, coming in at 82% as a team, but consistent through draws and hits. And look at the pattern for Germany again, 61% on draws, 85% on hits. Canada has to stick with the plan of keeping rocks in play in the second half.
So as we welcome you back to the Cranley Hockey Arena, this first stone, remembering now that Canada does have the hammer here in this 6th, playing the Red Rocks, is this first lead stone from Germany in or out? And they're waiting for somebody to get the stick. It's in the same place as the other measuring stick. Should be a lot closer now, I would think.
Keep locking that broom closet.
Yeah, somebody get the key, please. And here it comes from the other end. Of course it is at the other end.
So with these free guard zone stones, you can measure to say whether they're in or out or whether you can hit it or not. Other times at the end, you cannot measure. You cannot see what rock is closer, obviously, throw it in, but this time you can.
Nice, but so let's just talk a little scenario here. You've got last rock. It is tight. And maybe answer my own question here. Would you, Canada, even if it is in, go around it or not?
No, I think they'd probably nose it and then their rock would be out, Vic.
Yep, that little, it's in the rings by that little pimple.
This is where you walk up and throw a corner guard.
9.5.
But with control of the game, hammer for Canada, even ends. It's a dangerous rock, and it's a chance to hit it.
Yep. Hard. Hard.
Heather Kalinchuk. And she will sit there. So the control zone that we often talk about now belongs to Canada.
That can make a big difference at the end of this end. Another nice shot by Heather.
That one was not released, and the call came on to Brush. And that was a panic call because it doesn't really need it. It's not going to curl until it gets into the 8-foot area.
It's got to be a bit distracting for the thrower, too. It's like you let it go like a hot potato.
Ja. Weiter geht es. Weiter, 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 weiter. Oh.
Back 8, back 12. Go, Heather. Yep.
Perfect weight call with back 12 weight. You can't throw it through.
Down a little. Yep,
You can
line.
chip either one of these rocks in either directions and possibly have 2 yellow or red in the rings here.
It's really big.
Shooter hang around?
Oh, we yelled back line right away.
No. Heather Kalinchuk, the French immersion teacher.
Also irgendwas klebt hier.
Ja, ich wäre verhakt gewesen. Ich habe nur lustig sein.
It's interesting to watch Karina in the hack. She actually sets up with her hips a little aligned to the right, and when she comes out, that same impact has the body twisting. See that with a lot of players. They've found that that setup in the hack is more critical even, I guess, than we thought about your ability to come forward on that square target.
Shooter spins out of play.
Go, Tammy, you got this.
So this is the low-risk approach to trying to get a deuce. This is when you're looking at playing freezes, no guards out in front, not a lot of chance of anything really bad happening, and a chance that they could jam a rock and give you that deuce opportunity.
Does it surprise you a little bit, though, Russ? I guess my thought might be we didn't get the guards up, or that didn't work out well. Why don't we just play for the blank?
Oh, and she kind of is by playing the freeze. If the freeze was a little better, Germany would have blast away and you'd have the freeze opportunity anytime you want. But being that far apart, Germany could hang around. But this is the shot that really scares me with the German team is if you're going to hang around, you have to bring that weight down, and that's 2 in a row overthrown.
And they make it easy for you then, Linda, if you're Canada.
Yeah, there is really not a lot of control, and that is one thing that we've seen with the German team over the years, that Andrea Schöpp is a very good hitter herself, but when you're trying to manipulate stones and leave them positioned in a precise manner, that is not the shot that's going to do it.
You saw Heather play the split with a hack weight. If you throw a hack at that one, if you're Germany and you hit and stay for fun, then Canada cannot blank.
Line's great.
Picking the right weight is half the battle in this sport.
Good.
Tammy Schneider down on the corner.
You could again throw hack weight at this, roll open and sit 2.
Vic, you mentioned that Imogen represented Switzerland. That's how hard it is for Andrea to find competitive players in Germany. Imogen has a parent with German citizenship, and that's how she can qualify to play for Germany. So it's nice to see a new player come onto the scene.
Checking in. Oh, dear. Sorry. Even I don't like to say that. Let's have a look at Czech Republic and Sweden as they play in 6. And this is, she's a junior. Annika Beškova of Prague, coming off a 9th place finish. Can't make the raise double. It's a steal of 1. And Sweden already having locked up first place. Leads it now 4-3. They started off so well. They were 2-1 early in round robin, Czech Republic.
Well, your option of hitting, Vic, that we talked about earlier might have been a good idea. Kim coming up noticeably light there, and that gives Germany a chance to sink another one.
Imogen makes her home in Basel, Switzerland, and that's where the Ford Men's Worlds will be next year in Basel, Switzerland, after this year's event coming up.
You cannot believe the amount of curl on that shot. Sorry, Vic. Look at that go. That's going to Basel.
It could be, and maybe end up in Regina, where this year's event will be on next week.
Unforced error, that's huge. You know, when you have that much curl, it's a weapon. You should be able to come around that red one without getting anywhere near the red one, and it gives Canada a chance to get off the hook.
I don't think I've ever seen that kind of curl, and it wasn't actually that dramatic in other games, but she's just getting it so out in on a spot that curls so much. It's unbelievable.
Here's the exact opposite. Nice crisp release, lots of handle, and unfortunately shade heavy, and this has to curl in a hurry.
And the opportunity to put it down on the corner by Kim Schneider's missed as it rubs and rolls to the center line package.
What was that one?
Den abspielen, dass wir mal 2. So, wir machen jetzt. Nehmen wir mal wie ich.
Nicht so ein Stückchen Dreck hin mit dem leichten.
Sieht geht schon mal ein Problem, also das haben wir sowieso
Ja,
dann.
zu leicht. Da werden sie Fuß gehabt.
So wie ich.
Viel mehr ist die Richtung. Wenn er Neid zieht, könnte er draufziehen. Ansonsten ist es besser, wenn er weiter vorne liegt.
Nice to see Germany staying aggressive here, Vic. You could hit the back one, you know, without hammer. You worry about a 2 going up on the scoreboard, but with the one rock virtually buried, if Andrea can sink this in turn, and we know it curls, they can sit 2 and put a ton of pressure on Amber.
I think the discussion at the hack end was the options, and of course the only option is you don't want to leave it in a position where you set up a double. So line is all important on this.
It will curl on this side.
Yeah!
It's light. Gotta go.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Yeah! Whoa, whoa!
Now, she never gave that a chance.
Die Bremsen ab, darfst du rein, wenn man nichts macht.
Wie langsam er geworden ist.
Ja, sag ja, die Bremsen voll ein.
This is our first look at Scotland and Norway, and both these teams have been eliminated from playoff contention. Scotland is skipped by Anna Sloan of Lockerbie, coming off a World Junior Championship, playing with Eve Muirhead. This is Lynn Gitmark of Oslo. Makes the hit for the single point. And so it's a 4-2 Scottish lead as they go to the 7th.
Well, Amber's been let off the hook on this one with that big miss. There was a terrific chance for Andrea at least to get a rock in a position that made this draw a lot tougher.
Even if you didn't sit 2, you could have moved it over a couple feet and stopped this shot here.
Way you're turning, it must be heavy. No, 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 you're not on it. No!
This time the rub and roll, and it will stop back of the button.
I think one of the worrisome things at this stage of round robin play is the brushers still are not positive about the path. They were calling out 7 and felt that it could even be brushed to the button, which is the 7 position, and it did not need to be touched.
Ja, aber da muss er wirklich genau Fuß sein. Und das ist jetzt also auf dem Eis sauschwer.
Sauschwer, ja.
Passiert, wenn wir nicht das Double spielen, bis er darüber rollt. Weil sie bringt den nicht so weg, dass der schlecht ist. Ich muss einfach den da jetzt mal
Luckily
loswerden.
for Canada, the shot raw, because if that slid a little deeper, it would be easy to sink another one. And I think Germany's actually going to make a play on this for some strange reason. You can hit it here, Linda, but if you don't make the back double, you're going to set up a double and give up a deuce, and you could easily freeze in here, and a perfect freeze, and Canada can't score.
It definitely is the way she leans to play the hit. You know, it's interesting because in the second end, Andrea made a beautiful little tap, realizing that the hit was dangerous, and got a rock into a position that made it impossible really for Canada to get more than one.
It's funny you'd say that. It would be the exact same shot, which he made in the second end.
Final stone. Heiss, Schultz. On it, off it, on it, off it. And she'll make the double at the back.
Nothing wrong with the result. You're sitting 2, and there's not a lot of danger to give up. Obviously, you can't give up more than 1. It's a tough shot, but Canada just made it. A freeze, there would be no shot for Canada.
Well played and well called to get the result they were looking for. Canada needs the button.
They need a little piece of it, don't they? A little yoo-hoo as Amber Holland releases her final stone in a 4-4 tie. This is a draw against 2.
Running a little.
Kalinchuk is on the left. Tammy Schneider on the right. And now they have backed right off. Needs a piece of the button. Needs it to sit in a hurry. Needs it to sit. Needs it to sit. And needs it to sit even quicker now. And it will. Just to the back 8. It's a steal of 1 for Germany. As Amber Holland now finds herself down in this must-win situation. Tomorrow, TSN2 continues to bring you National Lacrosse League coverage as the Calgary Roughnecks will play host to the Toronto Rockets live. Coverage gets underway at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time, exclusively on TSN2, and it could be a preview of the championship. Both teams, Toronto leads the East, Calgary leads the West. Here in Esbjerg, Denmark. Denmark, the #1 country in the production of wind turbines.
And it is a breezy little spot here.
When you saw them on our little drive the other day up and down the coast, they saw a boat with some turbine parts heading off, we're told, to Spain. Germany, with the steal of 1, has the lead. Canada once again will have the last rock. They have the hammer, playing the Red Stones here in the 7th.
All 3 brushers wanted to come out on that one, and we remember, and that's what's not happening, is memory. This is at the quickest side. With the intern side for the right-handed curler is slower than this spot here, and that's 2 in a row too deep.
You think about last in Canada, they missed the last 4 draws, really. Kim missed and Amber missed, and it's partly just not judging the spot. It is a fast spot.
And we don't say it to criticize, it's just to point out that, on television, everything's white, everything looks normal, everything looks like it's the same speed, but it's not. There's slight differences, and it really is memory work.
And that's why some players are better at skipping than others. It's because the skip is supposed to remember all that.
Well, the brushers too, you're right, Vic, as far as definitely the curl, but the brushers for speed.
Checking in again on China and Denmark as they play in the 7th in a 4-3 Chinese lead. The scenario is this: if China wins the game, they take 2nd place. If Denmark should win and then win again tonight against Russia, Denmark will have 2nd place. Final stone on the way from Lena Nielsen. Wow. And this is not going to help her chances here as it slides too far. Steal of 1, China. And Bing Yu Wang.
It's in the quick lane.
For Germany, they peeled off the guard. Andrea trying to stick to the more open plan and force Canada to make the more precise shots at a time when Canada's having trouble, it seems, finding that weight.
And it rolls up just far enough to be 2nd shot.
Worst part about bouncing off is there is a red double if Germany elects to take it on.
think Karina Schultz was even through her backswing when Andrea Schöpp yelled, "Come on."
Now that's early.
Well, she had it read properly. As look at this, Germany, they're all lined up now, sitting 3, leading in the game by 1, and Canada does have last rock.
Das war der Plan. Gut.
They're laughing about it there, I think.
It was a good throw, never in doubt.
Yep. Whoa. Yep. Yep. Whoa. Yeah.
Tammy Schneider hits and sticks, and for the moment, Canada is shot rock, top 4.
Canada could have played the freeze there, tapped it back, created a bit of a wall for the with the yellow rock. So Germany will be smart to probably roll this away and keep some separation, try to force Canada to take a single.
Him again, Lehman. And very nice to avoid the jam.
Play remains in the rings, and this has got Amber hitting at a time when she'd rather be playing some come-arounds.
It was a nice move by Germany to peel a corner guard, left Canada a rock in the rings, but then made the nice double, and as you said, Linda, draws it into the rings, and the team with the lead, that's what you want.
That's good.
Nice little roll for Kim in front of those 2 yellows, and that means that Andrea has to hit this at more of an angle.
And more of an angle on the turn she chose. I thought they'd go with the other turn, and this is a little off center. It'll jam.
It's definitely the turn that her third throws better. I can
obviously
understand after watching a few of the interns come down why she would opt to the out turn. She actually throws those out turns very well with lots of rotation.
Yes, the nose is good.
Now it's either the double, hitting it on the broom side with lots of weight, where you could lose your shooter, or you could actually hit it a little off center and stick it with less weight and be frozen to the back yellow German rock. That's what they tried to curl a little more, stay right on top of that yellow rock.
Yeah.
So skip stones to come. Here in this 7th, Germany with the lead by 1, 5-4 after their steal of a single. In 6, Andrea Schöpp.
That's big weight she's throwing on those.
It's amazing.
Rolls away to sit 2, Russ.
Just absolutely the wrong weight call, but makes a ton of those. And how do you criticize? And you know, if you just tighten up the broom, throw the appropriate weight, and you hit that absolutely in the perfect spot. That's an 1/8 of an inch thinner. It rolls right out, and it's a blank end for Canada. But hats off to Andrea. That's the way she plays it. To the perfect spot.
You need a little less, you think? Yeah. Give me a little less, Kim. What's that? 13.
The Canadian coaching bench. Murph Fonger on the right. And in the middle, Jolene Campbell. Elaine Dagg-Jackson was on the left. She's the team leader from the Canadian Curling Association.
Still tight. 4. Gotta go. Line's good. You got room. Line's good. Line's good. Room still. We're okay. Yep, line's green.
After an end where we saw a lot of half shots, I think it's fair to say the Canadians need to make a full shot here. Amber Holland trying to glue it right down on the corner, but again, a little rub and roll off.
Rub and roll off, Linda. I might let you take this one.
They brushed it again, and it's just so hard because they're trying their best. We totally understand that, but they're calling out it short on release and heads down brushing, and then it gets into that slide path.
Amber couldn't throw that any better, and just a little bit of brushing. It's too bad because that's a major shot. Very little chance to blank the end now, and it'll be a 3-end game. Germany having hammer.
So what are you supposed to do if you want to take something out of this? Are you to, because we're all afraid, brushers are all afraid of losing a stone and not it being there, so our tendency is to brush early.
I think, Vic, it's just that you're right. We're all trained to brush right out of the hand, and a nice shot by Andrea, but it's all judgment, and whether you use a stopwatch or you don't, it's just a matter of thinking all the way down and keeping in mind that that shot had to be 2 feet behind the tee line, so you really want the rock thrown maybe 2 feet in front of the tee line, 4 feet light, 3 feet light, and it can't be heavy out of the thrower's hand, so you want to sweep later than sooner.
Now that was important. Kim had put the broom down for a draw to the button, but they want to play the same path because we're telling you over and over that every path is a little different. Amber doesn't want her to switch it up. She wants to have the feel for this spot.
So facing 3 with her last stone here in 7. Amber Holland gave up a steal of 1 in 6. The Germans do lead it. Boy, Kalinchuk and Tammy Schneider, this is all heads down, brushing now. Occasional glimpse up. Need to bring it down. Facing 3, and that's much better. Down on the corner for the single. Canada will tie it. It's a must win for the Canadians. Play began last Friday, and we're now into the final round robin draw here in Esbjerg, the Capital One World Women's Curling Championship, presented by Ford of Canada. And we know Sweden will finish first. Currently 8-1, playing Czech Republic, and then they'll wind up against the USA. China, Denmark could decide second on the ice right now, and Canada in that bunch at 4. The Canadians desperate to stay at 4 losses. 4 losses, a win over Germany would guarantee them at least a playoff spot or a tiebreaker to get into the playoffs. A 5th loss, and they would be in some trouble. But they do manage to get the single in 7. We're tied at 5. Germany, once again, will have the last rock playing the Yellowstones here in the 8th.
No, coming down. Still bouncing.
Trying to play the freeze here. The little concern right now for Canada is the struggle with draw weight. That one's a nice one by Heather. But even getting away from the plan, we said what you want is rocks in play when you play against Germany. And last end, the one chance they had to play the freeze, they opted for the hit. So Germany probably very happy with the position and will try and secure a single and a possible deuce here.
Stella Heiss.
Trying to bring it by now.
And by. Okay. And it'll slip center line, back edge of the 8-foot. Now, conversely, if you're Andrea Schöpp, you know that the Canadians want rocks in play. Would you not do everything possible to keep it more open? She was going to play an angle freeze on that stone, and that was the attempt.
Well, at this stage, Vic, the fact she couldn't hit the front one made it a little more difficult to do much else. That was a setup shot she had called. So now it's really important that Canada continue to make some nice shots so that Andrea thinks precision as opposed to hit.
ice. There is a double, but it's an awfully thin double for Germany.
Looks like she'll hit the rock that Tammy left there. You'll see that the struggles for Tammy exist today, with Corinna Schultz playing very well at 79%, 9 percentage point spread.
Trying to thin double. And across and over the top. I think they originally called for the thick shot, as you suggested, and roll on top. Angle frozen would have been ideal. And now this German rock peeks out in the open, and a chance to roll buried for Canada. Tammy Schneider.
9.5.
Should be able to hold it with that rotation. Well, as we mentioned, this game all important for the possibility of second place. China with the lead. They scored 2 in 6, stole 1 in 7, and a final stone on the way from Lena Nielsen from Vidovre outside of Copenhagen. Oh boy, and then it backed up, and it's a steal of one more. China. And if Bingyu Wang wins it, she will clinch second place.
Well, not a bad result for Germany. They did get things opened up a little bit, and the German stone at the back of the 8-foot might be shot rock, but it still gives Kim a chance to get in there first, top 4-foot and buried.
Just a 5. Okay, line's good. Line will be great. Line will be good. All you. All you. Line's great. 6. Line's really good. 7.
They said 4 originally, moved it up to 5, 6, and this looks like it could even be to the 7 position.
6. Good. Sweet.
I'm not sure how you get at that with Imogen. Definitely can be tapped. It definitely will curl, but the question is, can you hold the curl with her intern?
If they can figure out this intern release, it really is a weapon. Give that a little shove. That might not curl.
21% so far in her draws, and those have been the interns that she's missed in this spot.
Oh, it's a bullet. To be careful they don't get their own rock here.
Darf nur hinten aus maximal hören.
Die letzten sind wir alle abgeschmiert.
Again, the finesse shots letting Germany down. It was one of those ones, it was a tough shot to make it, but you had to be smart with the miss. If you wreck on the guard, you open it up, and Canada has to throw a guard. Now they can sink a second rock, possible steal of 2. You saw Monica Wagner, the long-time member of Andrea Schöpp's team. They're childhood friends and have been together ever since.
Yep.
Gee, another mistake deep.
As mentioned before, both Scotland and Norway have been eliminated from playoff contention. We know the Norwegian men, we always see them. Thomas Ulsrud, of course, in the flamboyant pants. Well, Lynn Gittmark has fashioned her own style this week. And several members of the team wearing the Norwegian toques.
Has to curl. There's a chance at a
And
double.
there's the single point. Sorry, Russ. 5-3.
We can get a 4.
Okay, right to it. Okay.
Let's check some player numbers now. It's brought to you by M&M Meat Shops. Hundreds of meal ideas, one aisle. Linda.
If you're watching Germany, we already said the weakness is the draws. That is clear on an Andrea Schöpp. But when you talk about Canada, it hasn't been as big a problem, and it is right now. And that is something that if Canada hopes to make the playoffs and then move on, they will have to solve that issue of how to make the draws, not just on release by Amber, but the brushers getting it to the spot they want.
We gotta go.
Skip Stones here in the 7th.
Line's good. You got room if you can. We can wait a little bit. Right to it. Line's great. Weight's great. We're a 7. Yep, line. Line
Looks
over
really
here.
good coming in here.
Room. Right to it. Room. We're all to it. Good. Hers just aren't finishing like everybody else. Good throw. Good call on the weight.
We didn't overshoot that one.
Still one over this.
Mein Problem ist, wenn ich den jetzt probiere und sie mir nochmal einen draufsteht, dann machen sie auch nur 2 und ich komme überhaupt nicht mehr hin. Den kann ich mir für nachher immer noch aufheben. Sie müssen eigentlich jetzt daher spielen. Die wird dann zumachen, dann kann ich immer noch versuchen, dass ich ihn darüber bringe. Die kommen jetzt wieder hin.
Not quite fully buried, but on the right angle, it's tough to get to the nose here. You have to shave the guard and does need to move it a little bit to become shot rock.
You know that at first she was looking at the outturn side and seeing if there was anything off third shot rock, if she could jiggle them. Wanting to look for that hit, wanting to look to ways to move it a little more.
Peel weight, that double might be there if you shave the guard on the other side, on the left-hand side as we're looking at it. Not sure if they can get by the guard tight enough to do that.
It does seem at this time of the game we're getting a little less curl in this spot, and it's very weight sensitive as far as that curl does go.
Andrea Schöpp and her first as we play here in the 8th.
Ton of weight here.
5-5 tie, and Germany does have last rock.
Whoa, whoa.
Lehman calling off Heiss and Schultz.
It's very heavy.
And just a little rub will straighten it out, and out the back it goes.
Pretty juicy, I think. I think so too. Same. Let's go. You got this.
As Monica looks on, with that one coming deep, that's another one of those misses that you just can't be deep. If it had been top 4, brushed to a position where it was usable, at least blocking this opportunity for Canada, but that was so wrong side. Andrea's going to be in big trouble on her last.
Let's go. You got it.
Canada with an absolutely wonderful chance here without last rock. Right now sitting 1, trying to glue another right to the face.
Line's not bad. Line's good now. Yep, get line.
Tammy Schneider looking up, just head down from Kalinchuk, get it by the guard, trying to drag it down right on the face. How is this?
think that.
Oh, I thought it was less.
Can be correct. Yeah, can be corrected. You're good.
You thought it was more?
I said more and you.
Oh.
Good.
Mein Problem ist halt, wenn ich den blöd treffe. Wobei, kann da was passieren, wenn ich ihn innen habe?
Nee.
Wenn ich ihn innen habe, kann gar nichts passieren. Wenn ich ihn außen habe, drücke ich den daher. Aber der trullert dann ja auch daher. Aber das ist die einzige Chance, die ich habe. Aber da muss ich mit dem Strich kommen. Alternativ kann ich nur den dort versuchen. Aber der ist halt schon brutal flach. Ne? Also der ist sehr, sehr flach.
Der ist sehr flach.
She's looking at playing off the yellow one that's a biter. There are ways, though, that you can do a major mistake.
Ja, genau.
Ich glaube, wir wissen schon. Komm schnell. Wenn ich vorne angehe, ist auch nichts passiert.
So it looks like they're going to play the shot you illustrated, Russ.
Yeah, this is the only option, in my opinion. Like Linda pointed out, you go off the yellow, you hit it in the wrong spot, you come over to where the broom is. You hit the red in the wrong spot, you give up a steal of 3 and the game's over, and all intents and purposes. The only other shot would be to whip it down on the intern side, hit the top one thin. You'd move all the reds around, but you'd still give up 1 or 2, and this is the best shot. I think they can definitely squeeze by the guard and roll in and maybe get second shot here. Giving up 1 here is not bad.
Canada is sitting 2 in this 5-5 tie. Final rock on the way. Germany, Andrea Schöpp. Ice, Schultz called off. Oh, they feathered it. Move it far enough. And let's see. It's 1 for sure, and it looks like she moved it far enough
What a
to get
fantastic,
second shot.
fantastic event. Attempt there.
I'm not sure. It's still really close. I think it's red.
Are you okay?
Lehman having a look. They're going to call for a measure. And now, where's the measuring stick?
I'll get the key.
Oh, she just papered the guard. That could have been a disaster.
Couldn't throw any better. Just a beautiful curling shot.
Oh, oh. Stella Heiss going for a tumble.
Damit man den einen schiebt und den anderen vielleicht noch ein bisschen rüberkriegt, weil dann steuert ja auch viel mehr dahinter. Davor der lag ja noch einer, da kannst du ja mit wegkommen, du musst ja nicht schaffen. Was?
It does show you, though, Andrea missing her first. As I said, if it had been anywhere top house, at least it would have cut off Amber's chance to get a second one frozen on that same spot. Well, that's why she was forced to such a difficult shot.
Two points would be huge at this stage.
So the Canadian stone first. Now to the German stone. Red it is, so it's a steal of 2 for Team Canada. Canada takes the lead. A steal of 2 by Amber Holland and the Canadians has them in front as we go to the 9th, and it's Germany that has the last rock playing the yellow stones. Again, the scenario is this: if Canada wins the game, their final round robin game, here in Esbjerg. They will guarantee themselves at least a playoff spot or a spot in a tiebreaker to potentially get into the Final Four. If they lose and fall to 5 losses, they would not be mathematically eliminated, but the combination of wins and losses would have to be extraordinary to bring 5 into play.
And that really was an extraordinary 8th end when you think of stealing 2 points. Andrea Schöpp with a series of very big misses and really not much of a shot on her last.
I actually don't think she could make that any better unless she could throw it twice as hard, and that thing was flying. And 2 great clutch draws by Amber Holland, as we noticed throughout the entire Canadian Championship. When she really needed it, she made them, and no better example of that.
Well, we've told you the scenario here for China is if they win this game over Denmark, they would take 2nd place. This is in the 9th now, after Denmark gave up a steal of a single in 7, a steal of a single in 8. Final rock from Lena Nielsen. Wow, very nice to pick up 2, but China has the lead. They also have the last rock coming home in 10.
Really hard. Hard. Gotta stay on it hard. Okay, hey, sorry.
Not a great throw. That wasn't intended to be played that way. It just passed the guard by the ones in the rings.
Karina Schultz.
You got this.
Tammy Schneider trying to hold the line. Oh, and they jam it at the back. Sweden, we already know, has locked up 1st place in the 1-2-page playoff game. Czech Republic. Anna Kubeškova from Prague.
Beeline potrzebujemy, jo? Beeline.
This appears to be a draw for 2, full 8 foot. All it goes. And to the 4 foot for 2. Sweden has the lead and the last rock in 10.
Well, the difficult part for Canada when they jam rocks around is they did open up the house for Andrea Schöpp. The good thing is that Germany couldn't get it in. They had a chance to bury there. It is wide open.
Easy. Right off. Clean. Fine. Whoa. Sit. That's fine.
To make the double, you pretty well have to roll out here, and I'd have to think Andrea would play the around the corner guard. That's why she threw it. I'm not sure why they're staring at these 2.
She's not trying to make the double. She's trying to nose it and leave the yellow one in front, but it's just going to be a biter with a red in behind when you've got a perfectly good corner guard in play.
You could argue that the 2 red ones are also guards, corner guards. You could go around to the edge of the forefoot, and there's no double raise. Cannot roll out here.
Imogen Lehman. And she will not. She'll hang around. Edge of the 8-foot. Slipped out behind the corner guard.
There is a way to get a hidden roll, but if you're trying for your points, you really should be just drawing behind this card.
Again, that firm weight just allows that rock to run that little bit straighter, and it's so tough to play that come around tap back when you throw it that hard. And with the strategy with the previous rock where you throw the hit freeze, it's great if you make it, but you have to factor in the if once in a while, and the odds of making that hit freeze, the odds of making that hit and roll perfect as opposed to a come around, as Linda mentioned, are so much different. And when you're working on your strategy, you have to factor in ice conditions, rock conditions, who's throwing it, and that if factor. What if it doesn't work out? Then what am I left with? Right now, Germany's left with a 4-1 if this continues.
Wow.
Well, where's that yellow one going? Where is it going?
And it's going to bang up the Canadian stone. And look at that. Canadian stone is sitting behind the corner for shot rock now, sitting T-line in the 8-foot.
Here's out in the frost.
Now we want to go live to the game between Denmark and China. You see the shot stone, actually first and second. Those are the Danish stones. China with the lead. China with the chance here to pick up the win and grab second place in the 1-2 game. Final rock from Bingyu Wang. Looking to make them both go away. Get rid of, avoids the jam at the back, and just enough. Oh, goodness. Just enough to score one more, and China will win it 7-5. And Bingyu Wang, the former world champion, will now take second place. Denmark falls to 6-4. They play Russia tonight. So like the Canadians now, Denmark is at 4 losses.
That was a huge break for Amber Holland on that mishead, hitting the guard by spilling the rock, the redstone, in behind cover, so a run back is needed by Andrea. It will just go by.
So with the win, we know that the 1-2-page playoff game will feature Sweden and China. And for Denmark, they fall to 4 losses. They still have one more game tonight. And for them as well, it will be a must-win. Although, you know, again, we saying it, if you get to that 5, the combinations are still there. But it requires the slide rule, the calculator, and a very intelligent computer to figure it all out.
Good. Nice throw.
I don't know what happened to Amber's first one, but she caught a huge break. I don't know whether it grabbed, but it took off. It bent a lot more than they had planned, but it ended up in an awfully good spot.
How much more though? Time two, quite a bit. Time two.
It's just like even trying to stand and sweep out here. The frost
Like
is
the
creeping.
capital one, if you put it right in between the A and the T.
There's a possible double, something that perhaps some of the men might take on. John Meade, Jeff Stoughton, but this is a hit for one.
It's a thin double. It's one of those ones that you're probably giving up a steal if you don't make it absolutely perfect, but that certainly is an option with a 2-point deficit.
Whoa, got that. Whoa, whoa. Down some. Whoa. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Yeah, yeah. Good. Good.
One yellow it is. Andrea Schöpp comes back shaking her head. Canada has the lead and the last drop. As we welcome you back to Esbjerg, Denmark, and our coverage of the Capital One World Women's Curling Championship presented by Ford of Canada. The Canadians have the lead up by one. It's 7-6. And the added advantage of having the last draw. Canada has the hammer playing the Redstones.
Go, 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 go. As far as it's going to go. Go, 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 go. Great sweep. We lost it.
Another well-curled game by Heather, just in the perfect spot. A little bit deeper would be nice, but you didn't want it on the button.
Czech Republic is giving Sweden a battle as they sit one, and it appears from this angle to be behind some cover in front, trying to steal possibly an extra end. Final rock on the way from Annette Norberg from Harnelsand. Uh-oh, the clunk means they're going to go one more in a 6-6 tie. Czech Republic, Sweden.
Canada would like to move one of those German stones out of the way. Can't peel the guard yet. They'll try moving things with backline weight.
Going to hit a lot of this yellow one that's going to keep the speed up. It might be hard enough to knock it right out, but there will be some frost over here. Oh, that's exactly what happened. Right into the snowbank, slowed it right down.
I was fortunate they were going after the one in the house, which you could, of course, jiggle around, but that one must be just a fraction away from that bumper.
And if you're only watching the Worlds for the first time, the ice surface is a little wider than at home in Canada.
No, 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 no. Whoa, 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 whoa.
And that's where Linda Hairbroom for Germany might have made a difference and peel that frost off the pebble.
Scotland and Anna Sloan of Lockerbie winds up their round robin with a 6-3 win over Norway and Lynn Gitmark. So the Scots finish at 4-7. Norway at 3-7. Norway will finish up tonight against Switzerland in a very big game. The Swiss are at 4 losses.
Now, just to clarify, the width of the sheet here is wider, but the world rules do allow it to go down to 14.6 as high as 16.5. So it has been changed over the years that it's not automatically a very wide sheet. If the building doesn't allow for it, they still will allow the event to be held there. In these buildings where there's lots of room for 4 sheets of ice, they will go to that maximum width.
Well, this is an Olympic ice surface, the Granley Hockey Arena. It's time now for the game story, and it's brought to you by Scotty's, proud supporter of women's curling for 30 years.
Early pressure by Canada got the big 3 in the 4th end, but the huge turnaround was the 8th end, with Amber Holland making 2 beautiful shots, and the steal came about, steal of 2, even though Amber's numbers are low, very low, considering how well she's played in other games this week.
Good sweeping.
McGinley.
You think of how important that rock being ticked over and not going out of play is, because the way the house looks, it's really difficult to think of Andrea getting to the 4-foot around these rocks. It's going to be even harder now.
Exactly.
Off to double there.
Anything on the center line side with a lot of speed, both the yellows and the shooter go.
It's gonna drag. You can still play it though if you want. Okay? Whatever you think's best. I like it. Should be close if you hit it thick. Okay? Even if you know that's not the end of the world. Let's go. You got it, Kim.
Here at the Granley Hockey Arena, 2 games are complete. 2 games remain on the ice in this 16th draw of round robin play. Final round robin game for the Canadians. And they'll get them both. And that'll take both stones out of play now on the left side.
Well, I was always saying for Canada, once you make this shot, yes, you leave a rock out in front the way they hit it, but still for Andrea, it's very hard to get in behind those 2 rocks. That's something you have to consider if you're Canada. Andrea will continue to put up a guard.
Easy.
Whoa.
Easy, easy, easy. Jetzt, Panzer, jetzt. Was geht jetzt? Weiter, 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 noch ein bisschen. Wow, 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 wow.
Gut. 54 habe ich. 61.
Heel. Yep. Yep.
Kim Schneider.
This is close to the nose.
Okay.
Leaves the shooter out in front, gets rid of the German stone and a second Canadian guard.
Was I a little tight? Yeah, I guess so. I didn't think it was too bad.
Unfortunately, they left the rock out in front that's more usable.
Not the best shot for Kim, but that's why this rock right here was thrown by Heather. It's in a pretty good spot for Canada, and I'll tell you why. Once Germany eventually is going to have to draw in behind that center guard, and there will be a raise available later in the end if they have to make that shot. pretty good positioning for Heather's Rock. Yes, Andrea can come around it, but it would have to be dead buried.
Kannst du den aber auch rausnehmen, oder? Wow. Ach, ja, gut, okay, ja. Also then muss er overteam. Ja. Das ist schon nicht schlecht eigentlich. Die andere Variante ist, dass ich an den dran stehe und den einfach hier runtertippe. Ich finde den fast besser. Was macht sie, wenn ich den spiele und hier hinterschiebe? Ich denke, sie wird auf die Guard gehen. Sie macht auf. Ja. Aber dann habe ich da vorne meinen Spielstein und kann mit dem anderen noch raus den Netz an. Wenn du hier an den spielst, geht sie auch auf die Guard. Hat sie aber immer noch den.
Well, the couple of options would be, you already saw they indicated they could tap that red one back, get it out of the way, leave their yellow one top 8, hope that after the peel is made that they have something maybe to draw to at the back 4, for example. The other thing is you could leave it high in the house, assuming Amber peels off, then you wrap around both of the rocks in the rings, hoping that yours are overlapped and you can get around them and not leave Amber the run back.
Sie hat halt immer den, aber ich kann nicht alles zu machen. Ja. Aber es ist scheiße mit der Seite.
Nur 8, gell? Was? 8. 8, ja, okay.
Is she going to go right around this?
No, Vic, she's actually calling to draw beside the red one.
Okay.
Again, assuming Amber peels, she could tap this one up.
And because of that corner guard, Russ, is this a tough draw?
I think the corner's wide enough, Vic. I know what you're saying. There's so much finish here, but it's wide enough and deep enough past the hog line not to be a problem.
Well, Heiss and Schultz now. Lehman jumps out 2.
Auf geht's. Go, go.
Trying to get up right beside. And almost even.
Amber's not going to waste any time peeling the guard. She knows exactly what Germany's going to do. They almost have no choice other than to either come around the yellow or tap the yellow. And then it'll either be a double or an angle raise on Heather's Rock that was put there right from the get-go.
Just think of how dramatic this would be if it hadn't been a steal of 2 in 8. That extra steal point was huge for Canada.
And when you think back to the shot that Andrea made, just to keep it 2, right? I mean, she.
Well, they were 2 before she threw the last one.
But it was a great attempt.
It was a try to cut it down, because you can see how important it was to cut it down.
Wenn du ein bisschen schräg machst. Ha? Schräg schiebst. Ja, ich schau schon. Dass er ein bisschen rausguckt. So schräg ein bisschen. Sie rennen dann. Ja, ja. Auch von der Seite. Dick weniger.
We have our final on sheet D. Sweden gets 1 in the extra, and they win it 7-6. So Sweden now goes to 9-1. Annette Norberg, we know she will finish first. China second. Czech Republic will wind up their round robin play with a record of 2-9 after going 2-1 to start.
It looks like she called draw ice, but I thought she was playing the tap.
It's trying to curl.
And she does bump the stone center line far enough to be shot rock, and it's very close for second and third.
And they didn't even brush the one that was rolling.
I know they hit that a little thinner. They sit 2, forcing Canada to make a double.
And from that look, maybe not as close as I'm thinking. For second and third.
Oh, I'd say we are.
Coach Merv Fonger.
If you aren't sure, 110% sure, you hit it on Kim's, where Kim's broom is, play the double.
No, we trust you. Pretty sure we are. We trust you.
Double's really no harder than the nose hit, Linda.
First, I'm looking at the jumbotron.
To us, it looks pretty obvious. I guess maybe down on the ice, it doesn't look that
Let's go, Amber.
that different.
Yeah.
So, as Amber Holland gets ready to throw her last, a Canadian win would guarantee themselves at least a tiebreaker. That tiebreaker would be against Switzerland if the Swiss win their final game tonight against Norway.
Clean.
First things first, though. They've got to win the game. Final rock on its way. Canada and Amber Holland. And now rolls over, and they'll take a look, and it certainly appears as Andrea Schöpp takes a look around the 8-foot. Andrea Schöpp has a look. One more time, Andrea Schöpp, and out comes the hand, and Canada has guaranteed themselves at least a tiebreaker here at the Capital One World Women's Curling Championship presented by Ford of Canada. Canada will win it 8-6 the final.
Capital One World Women's Curling is brought to you by Ford, official automotive partner of the Canadian Curling Association. Capital One World Women's Curling is brought to you by M&M Meat Shops. Hundreds of meal ideas, one aisle. By Scotty's, proud supporter of women's curling for 30 years. And by Tim Hortons Premium Blend Coffee, always 20 minutes fresh.
So here are the standings with one round-robin draw to play. Canada is complete. They will finish at 7-4, and Sweden, China will meet in the 1-2 game. You've got the teams at 4 losses. Remembering tonight that Denmark and Russia will play. One of those teams will be eliminated. If Switzerland should win their final game, there would be one tiebreaker. Check tsn.ca and listen to Sports Center to find out if, in fact, we do have a tiebreaker for you. Now, on behalf of our entire crew, thank you for joining us here in Esbjerg. It is the Capital One World Women's Curling Championship presented by Ford of Canada on Canada's sports leader, TSN.